Hey, what's up guys? Mike Red Fox. In this video, we're going to do a full 6-card RTX 3060 mining rig build. So let me start with what I have and then what my plans are for this rig. So you can see the GPUs I have stacked up here. I have 4 Zotac 3060s you can see there. Those are the Zotacs. I have one EVGA 3060 you can see there. And then I have this Gigabyte 3060 that you can see there. So not all matching cards, but it's going to be okay. And then for the rig components, here's what I'm thinking. And just unless I run into a snag along the way, I'll have to change things up. But I'm going to use this MSI motherboard Z390 Pro, which has mixed reviews. You should be able to get 6 GPUs on it, but some people really struggle getting past 5 with this motherboard. So just in case I need it, I have one of these courtesy of my man Chum Change. He sent me over one of the PCIe splitters that go to 4. So just in case I can't get the 6 card running on there, I'm going to be able to use this and that should work just fine. Processor, nothing pretty. G4930 is what I'll be using in there. Got a GPUrisers.com SSD that I'll be putting Windows on, at least to start. I'm just going to do 4 gigs of RAM. That's all I ever do in every single rig that I've ever made. And then what my plans are is to get this whole rig on a 1000-watt EVGA Gold G+ power supply. I really like when I can just get a rig as simple as possible and just use an ATX power supply and not have to go the server power supply route. And with the TDP of these cards and what I'll be running them at and my experience, I'll be okay using this 1000 watt. That leads me to what my plans are for this rig. My plans are to throw it on Ravencoin. It's going to be my Ravencoin 3060 mining rig. And so each card from the testing I've done will run about 100 watts, maybe 101, 102 watts, which for 6 cards, the motherboard and all that probably puts me around 750 watts max. If the overclocks reset and these were to run full tilt, I will go over the 1000 watt rating, but I'm confident in my setup. I've been doing this a while, so I'm going to be okay. And this is probably the highest wattage I'll ever run these cards since Raven takes so much power, as you guys know. Anyway, we're going to get started here. Motherboard is here. I got the CPU ready, the RAM ready, and the cooler ready. So I'm just going to slot this CPU up in here very carefully, not to bend any of the pins or anything. So I'm going to look for the indents on the GPU and match that up on the CPU. Man, always thinking graphics cards. Always, always. So I got that in there. Close the door down. Lock that in place. And this is a brand new CPU, so it already has the thermal paste on there, which is nice. So I'm going to find on this motherboard the CPU fan header. Let's see. System fan, it's right here. It's right there. And I'm just going to get that going. So I like to find a location where this cable doesn't have to route super far. That's going to be a little short. So let's see. That should work okay. We're going to do right there. So let's get this locked in place. Just push down each of these. Get this fan header in. Keep that CPU nice and cool. Cool. So that feels good. That's locked in. And then RAM. So this has 4 slots for RAM, which I will never use. So I'm looking for slot 1. See if they're labeled. They are. So DIMM A1 is closest to the CPU. So I'm going to go ahead and slot it up in there. Okay. Motherboard is ready to go. So let me get the frame up on this bench and we're gonna get this board put in the frame. I have so many Veta frames that this is my organization for it. So I got all the screws, parts, and everything in there. So that's what I'm gonna use to get this motherboard up here. So let's see, port side, I'm gonna wanna turn this around. And port side should be on this side. Cool, so I'm just lining up all the standoffs already on the frame with the holes in the motherboard. And now I'm gonna screw in the motherboard. All right, so the motherboard is installed, and then I also took the opportunity to get the SSD mounted in the frame. So next thing I'm gonna do is get the power supply. So again, I'm using this EVGA 1000. Well, this is actually one of my favorite power supplies of all time, ATX for mining, and I'll tell you why is because this, once you get to the 1000 watt of this generation, it comes with 6 VGA ports on the back. So it gives you an opportunity to do 6 low power GPUs. I mean, in this case, I'm gonna do 1 strand for each GPU, just like I would do on my 16 series cards. And it just makes it such a nice and tidy rig. And that's what I'm really excited to do in this case as well. I'm gonna mount it in the middle, just so I have enough reach to get to all the graphics cards. And then I'm gonna get it screwed in here in the Veta frame. And then I'm gonna run all the wires. All right, power supply is wired up. So I have 6 PCIe strands coming off of the power supply. I got all the GPUs unboxed. I'll tell you this, one thing I like about these Zotac cards, they're first of all so tiny, and they came with absolutely no plastic films, no thing covering the ports, nothing. They're just super bare out of the box, and I really appreciate that as a miner who just wants to get these set up as fast as possible. The EVGA just feels like a little tank, and then this Gigabyte just feels like a piece of plastic compared to the other ones. And look how big it is in comparison. I don't know if you get a good sense of it there. It's huge. So I'm gonna get these slotted up. Let me switch the cameras back over and we'll hang out for a little bit here. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna do all the Zotacs right next to each other. Oh, and we're gonna be using GPU risers, white risers, along with their splitters, PCIe splitters that I've used, which are really, really nice. I'm gonna just slot everything with its riser, hang out with you guys a little bit, and then I'll go off camera again and work on some of the rest. Man, as soon as I remember I had to put a riser on, jeez. So Zotacs are gonna go just starting here, and then go right down the line here. So that's the first one. Looking good already. The other thing that I like about all these cards, and I'm not sure about all the 3060s, I'm sure there's some really high-end models that are different, but these all have single 8-pin. Which again, just my appreciation for the like low power cards is they're so easy to wire up. You don't have to do any mental gymnastics to try to figure out how to wire up a rig. And like I mentioned, for me in this one, I'm just gonna split that single PCIe coming off the power supply and send it to the riser and to the GPU. Because even if these pulled max TDP, which I believe, don't quote me on this, I believe is 170 watts, that's still below what an 8-pin PCIe cable can do safely, well below it. I'll leave a link to my video and all that stuff up in the card if you need to check it out. How to power GPU riser safely and not burn your house down and melt all your GPUs. So needless to say, this whole thing's PCIe, no Molex, no SATA power and anything. All right, next I think I want to do the Gigabyte. So let's get that going. I mean, the EVGA. So we're going to get that going here. So got the EVGA slotted up. Forgot its riser. Trying to do this fast so this video isn't so long. And forgot a really important part. Okay. Yeah, these EVGAs are nice. This is my second one. The first one's the Nerf 3060, so that's just mining Ethereum at full hash rate. And these are all definitely the LHR, like no doubt about it. Since I got these all within like the last month, all new. Man, this Gigabyte card is so gigantic for no reason compared to the rest of them. All right, so we'll get an overhead look of these cards, and then I'll wire everything up and then come back and we'll take a look together. So there they are. There's everything lined up. Gigabyte, EVGA, 4 Zotacs. I actually really like, I hate to say it, but I really like these Zotac cards. These 3060s are pretty nice. So let me get the rest of this wired up. All right, this rig is built. So I have all 6 cards in. I have them all powered using GPUrisers.com splitters, GPUrisers.com risers. Everything's connected to the motherboard. And I think I'm pretty much ready to go. I'll give you guys that top-down look to see it. So you can see everything here. All the splitters going from the GPUs to the VGA cables, and then all the risers hooked up on each one. So what we need to do now is see if this thing works. So I have it plugged into power, and this specific motherboard doesn't have a power button on it. So I have an external power button hooked up, and let's just see if this thing powers on. I don't have it hooked up to video yet because I know I gotta install Windows and figure out BIOS and stuff, but I just wanna see if everything works, which tells me I got everything wired up properly. So 3, 2, 1, power. All right, we've got some lights. We got some fans spinning. Let me switch back over here. So you can see all the lights on the risers connected to the graphics cards here. And then you can see on the bottom down there, those are the red lights connected to the 1x risers that go into the motherboard, which I absolutely love for troubleshooting purposes, knowing that everything is working properly. So all the fans just were spinning on the GPUs. 2 of them have stopped. The Zotacs are still going. That just depends on the specific graphics card that I've noticed over time, and I guess the BIOS they have on them. CPU fan is spinning. Everything's looking really, really good. Even this GPUrisers.com SSD has a red light on it to let me know that it's working. Man, that is awesome. All right, time to power this thing off before I blow this circuit. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, check it out. I'm in the BIOS of this motherboard. So with 6 cards, I couldn't get to the BIOS. There was a VGA diagnostic LED lit up on their motherboard. So I was able to get in once I unplugged. I just unplugged 5 and left 1 in the main PCIe slot. So I'm looking for a couple settings in here, probably to adjust. This is my first time using this motherboard, so I'm just gonna poke around and see if we can find the things that I think we need. So I'm gonna hit F7, go to this advanced because I don't see anything there. Probably settings, let's check that out. Advanced sounds good. All right, here's some PCIe stuff right away. Okay, above 4G memory decoding, cryptocurrency mining is disabled. They're gonna wanna enable that because that's what we're doing here. So we got that, what else? Let's go back. I want the integrated graphics of the motherboard to be the primary video output. So let's see, integrated graphic adapter, PEG. That's got to be like the PCIe device. I'm going to go IGD, integrated graphics. Select, that sounds okay. Let's roll with that. Let's go back. And then I'm looking for power on at power loss. So probably power management setup. So let's check that out. Yep, restore after AC power loss. I'm gonna go ahead and enable that just in case. And I think that's everything. You can disable some other things, but that's generally all I do with any motherboard that I set up, whether it's a mining motherboard or a non-mining motherboard. So that sounds good to me. So I'm gonna save that and give this a reboot and see if I can get it to boot up with all 6 cards. Let's give it a go. All right, so just powered it on, all 6 cards. Let's see what we get. Getting some video here, that's good. Okay, let's see. PCIe out of resources condition. PCIe devices were set to disabled state. I'm gonna install Windows and try it. I wonder if this is like that power error that the H110 mining motherboards get. Otherwise, I can disable like the onboard audio and stuff, but I'm gonna get Windows installed and see what shows up there. Windows is installed, but I'm still getting this error, but I figured out how to fix it, so let me walk you through it. So I'm in the BIOS of this motherboard right now. I'm gonna go over to the advanced, go over to settings, and go over to advanced in the settings, and then go to Windows OS configuration, and in there, I'm gonna change this to UEFI. And then let me save that and exit, and then you'll see it'll bypass this BIOS screen and go right to Windows at the next reboot. Booted right into Windows. Let's get this thing mining. So a couple things that I installed just for the sake of this video, though I won't particularly be using them in my setup. So I have the latest T-Rex miner installed here, and then I have MSI Afterburner installed to take care of our overclocking for these GPUs on Ravencoin. So the first thing that I did, and I spent about a day tinkering with this to try to find the best possible settings, and I got pretty close, so I'll give you what I'm running right now. So with these specific GPUs, what I found worked best is running a lock core clock. And so let me show you what I'm running here on Ravencoin. So I'm gonna go into T-Rex Miner's batch file, and the core clock I'm running is 1300. That's where I have it locked at, and that seems to be doing really well. So let me get that started first, and then we'll talk about other adjustments to the memory overclock. So let's run that as administrator. We'll let this mine for a little bit, and then I'll talk to you about what else I'm thinking for the overclocks over here in MSI Afterburner. So you can see my core is locked. Even though I put 1300, it's usually like another 5 megahertz that get added. So you can see it's 1305 is where it's locked at. You can see the miner is reporting it's locked at 1300. And we'll see the wattage and all that stuff pull up in a second as well. And Ravencoin's Kapow algorithm is pretty core heavy, and I found that on a lot of my non-30 series cards, especially my 16 series, core is the thing that allows it to get better performance. It reacts absolutely nothing to any type of memory overclocks, at least on those GPUs. What I found with 30 series, 3060s, and other cards that I've tested is it does like some memory overclock. But what I found is when you give it some more memory overclock, when you have the core locked, then it needs more power. And so I'm trying to find the best balance because I always chase efficiency. That's the thing that always saves me with my electric rate when we go into bear market. So I like to have that really locked in all the time, all the time. So we got our first round of metrics here. You can see we're hitting about 20.5 megahash per GPU. And you can see the Silicon Lottery coming into play here. So the core is locked, and you can see the best performing card, at least on first refresh, is GPU 5, which is this 3060. Just has really good performance at really low wattage. And you can see some of the others pulling a little bit more wattage with the core locked where it is. And so you can see the efficiency numbers here as well, which will round out a little bit, but a little under 0.2 is what I've been able to get. And I can get these over 21 megahash, but let's see what happens. If I go to the memory overclock, I'm just gonna add 500. And I gotta do that to all these GPUs. So yeah, they're all locked. I'm gonna add 500. And we're gonna see what happens here in the miner with the wattage. And yeah, they're all good. And with the performance. And what you'll see, we can see it already, the wattage is going up and the performance is going up. So as those rise together, will one outpace the other, and are you getting better efficiency or worse efficiency running a memory overclock? And that's really the game to chase with these cards in this specific algorithm that I've found, it really likes that 1300 lock. I've tried 1350, tried 1400, tried 1250, 1275, but 1300 gives me the absolute best efficiency. So then I move on to tuning the RAM, the memory overclock. Is this helping or is it hurting my efficiency? And you can see now we're almost getting to 21 mega hash, but again, wattage has risen across every card as it needs more power in order to push the memory a little further. So I'm still testing that. I think 500, which is where I have it at, was a happy medium for me to hit. When I pushed it all the way up to like 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, I just lost so much efficiency on these cards because I needed so much more power to push the memory. But I really like getting above 21 mega hash on these cards, and if I can do that around 110 watts, then that's where I'm personally really happy. So I absolutely love this rig. My plans for it, here we'll switch over cameras here. My plans for this rig right now is to mine Ravencoin, especially leading up into the halving happening in January of 2022. I also am really looking forward to Firo forking to their new algorithm, FiroPow, which I think this rig will do really well on. I want to test that soon. That's coming this month in October as of making this video. All the parts and everything I used for this build are going to be linked in the description below. Should you want to pick up anything that I've used in this build, please use my links in the description. It helps support me and the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if you did. Subscribe for more content on GPU mining. Jump in my Discord if you want to chat. The link is in the description below. And as always, please take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I will see you in the next video.